Good day! Simply smashing! Welcome to the stream!
Hi, welcome to Qyjari's Curious Crafts. Today's 3 sheets one-shot. I had a little glitch at the very beginning there I had to fix, so that's why we have a little bit of a delay. Sorry about that. Hi Twisted, I see you're in the channel. Thanks again for joining. Today we're going to continue our adventure from the on the Nhikosha Dynasty, which you see the map there that I made on Incarnate. And we're going to continue the travels of our adventurers who just completed, hopefully, their adventure from last week's 3 sheets one shot, which is the Deep in the Netherwork Mines. And let me pull that up real quick so you can see what I'm talking about. This is the one that we made last week, and you can see it kind of went long. So even though the name is called 3 sheets one shot, I embellished it and added more stuff. Let me show you. This is the PDF file. I'm having one more person proof it, but once it's done with that, we'll get it out for whoever wants it. It's free. So let's see. It's we have the summary, which we worked on together, and then the introduction, and then we started. I added a paragraph of starting in Dyrebrook because I didn't want if the dungeon master decides the game should go longer, maybe they should start in Dyrebrook and have to go through the Mistborn Marsh, which you saw on the map. I'll show you in a second. And so they went through starting in Dyrebrook if they wanted to, or the next place, if they wanted to make a shorter campaign, start in the little village outside the Netherwork Mines, which they would start in the inn, of course, the inn and tavern, called the Netherstone Bed and Brew. And we had Blackrock Bed and Brew, and I liked that, but because Blackrock is such a common name in World of Warcraft, I didn't really want to use that. And Netherstone is the stone that they dig out of the Netherwork Mines, so I thought that would be a better name. If you guys come up with a better one, we can change it because it hasn't been finalized yet. We came up with a the dwarf that is the innkeeper, and that's Sebastian Murphy. Thanks to my viewers last week, came up with that cool name, and gave him a desire and a fear, and gave him some other details. Also, we came up with the name of the general store. Actually, we came up with it afterward. I asked some folks in Discord, and they thought We Things would make a fun name for a general store in case our adventurers decide they need some more supplies, because this is a level 1 to 4 adventure. And so I also had a viewer on one of my subs on Twitch in my Discord channel suggest the name of the of the shopkeep, and his name is Thorgan Bjorgen. You can see there, and it gave his desires and fears. So there's a little more than 3 sheets in this one shot. It's more like 8, but 4 of those pages I think are maps. So anyway, we continued with the mines, and then I went and made some Dungeon Master notes. There's your credits, folks that helped out with the story. Thank you so much. And my proofreader, and I'll have another one added to that. And then all the maps that we did. And there's the marsh. They go through the marsh, and there's an update close version of the marsh. People can print it out. That's a 1-inch scale. And there's the Netherwork Mines entrance right there. Is my mouse working on? Yeah, there you go. Last week I put the mouse on my OBS, and no one could see that. So sorry about that. And this is the little village outside the Netherwork Mines. All done in Incarnate. I have the Incarnate Pro, so no copyright problems there. And then I made this map here using Fireworks, which is my go-to writing program or drawing program. So this is the interior of the Netherwork mines. They would enter from the minecart entrance or the walking entrance. And there's some lifts and all sorts of, the Dungeon Master can take them any route they want to in this game. And then again, a close-up of where the rust monsters appear in the bottom of the mines. And then at the very end, I do have a glossary of all of the people and places that were put in there to help the Dungeon Master remember what certain things are if the players ask. Again, this is homebrew. I based it on rules from Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. And some of it is just the way I play. Some of it is the way other DMs I play with have the rules set. So it's a little bit of loosey-goosey, fun, just have a good time. But the Dungeon Master can just determine any way they want for this. So let's continue with the adventures. I'll close this and bring up my Word document. I did figure out the problem I had last week. There's the map of the where we started last week, right here at the Netherwork mines, or in Dyrebrook down here. And they had to, if they started in Dyrebrook, they had to go through the Mistborn Marsh here, where they encountered some bullywugs. Let's see. I did figure out what was wrong with my laptop. Did not have the developer tab open. That was what I ran into last week. I fixed it, so hopefully this will be a little more smooth. So let's see. We can choose now what we want to do for this. I think we're going to do another adventure. And we are going to make it for the same amount of players. We're just going to continue the adventure from last week. So it'll be for 3+ players. Hopefully those, whoops, wrong one. There we go. Hopefully those same adventurers will continue in the Netherwork village right outside the mines. And I think I'm going to have maybe the shopkeep send them down to Stonebridge, which is a island city south on the very southern coast of the Nhikosha Dynasty, where they are now. And these, we can say that they're levels 1 to 4 as well, because I don't think they would have gotten any higher than level 4, if even, just battling a couple of rust monsters and some bullywugs if they'd gone through the swamp. So we don't have a name for our adventure yet. We haven't written it, so let's just put title TBD, to be determined, and we'll add that in later. Okay, so what I was thinking is we would have the adventurers be given an offer to take an order of the Netherstone that they have pulled out of the mines recently, to send down to Stonebridge. It's a city of mostly humans. It's kind of secluded, its only access is by the Stonebridge, which is where it got its name, and it's not very heavily populated, but there's some clever inventors there, and they have come up with an idea to use the Netherstone. They want to experiment with it. So they have asked the foreman and the shopkeep up in Netherwork Village to send them some samples of the different kinds of stone that they're pulling out of the mines, and they'll pay handsomely for it. So of course they're going to take them up on that. So we're going to send them south along that one road that goes kind of along the coast a little bit, comes inland a little bit, and then across the bridge to Stonebridge. Let me pull up the map real quick again so that you can see where I'm talking about. Here, I'll point at, oh, that's not going to work because you can't see my document. Let me put that back up there. Let's scroll back down here, because I did put the map on this. There we go. On this as well. This is the Nhikosha Dynasty, and they started in either Dyrebrook or the Netherwork mines, like I said, depending on what the Dungeon Master, the time they had to do this campaign. And then they were going to travel, they're going to be sent this way along the coast down this road here, and it'll be about a 3 days journey. I determined that leaving the north gate out of Dyrebrook, crossing the Mistborn Marsh, and then going to the Netherwork village outside the mines would be a day's journey. So between here and here, where Stonebridge is, it would be about 3 days. So we're going to say that maybe the shopkeep actually offers them some provisions to help them get down there. So let's scroll back to the top and start our story. Okay. So our shopkeep, his name was Thorgan Bjorgen. So I'm just going to start typing. Bjorgen. The shopkeep. I thought that was one word. I guess not. Of it's wee things. It's a small mercantile in another work village, has asked the party to deliver, let's see, some Netherstone. I was teased because I guess there's a nether rock. I don't play Minecraft, but I guess there's a nether rock or nether rack in Minecraft. So I said, mine's called Netherstone, so I call that. We had this discussion last night during my my terrain building stream. All right, deliver some Netherstone samples to, let's see, we have to come up with a name of an inventor. So anyone in chat want to come up with the name of a human inventor type, male or female, doesn't matter their age or anything. We can just throw it out there. So come up with a name of a human inventor or scientist. We'll leave that blank right now. We'll put TBD. I'll let you guys decide that. Oops. A human. Oh, by the way, is that large enough on the screen? I can make it a little bit larger. I have bad eyes anyway, so I can definitely make the view a little bit so that you can see better. Let's see. I think it said it 200. That's a lot. Let's do 225. See, I can't even see that. Need my readers. That's a little bit. That fills it in a little bit better. Okay. A human scientist who has requested the unusual, because it is in my world. My world is called Amonrath, and that name comes from a sort of a goth metal group that I love listening to, named Amethystium. And no, I'm sorry, wrong one. Amethystium is another group I like that does more tranquil music. I'm thinking of, who is it? It's Nightwish, I think, and they have a song called I always say Amonrath because I've been saying it for years now because that's the name of my homebrew world, the realm, and now I can't think of the real name of the song, but it starts with an A. It has an M in it. Oh well. I'll start singing it in my head and then I'll know it and I'll say it. Anyway, okay, so a human scientist who has requested the unusual stone for an experiment. There we go. He or she, we don't know, you guys can come up with that, has offered let's see, we'll say a handsome sum to for the delivery. Okay, so that's the summary of the story. As the DM, of course, we're writing the story as the DM. And so, spoiler alert, if you plan to play this as a player, you're going to know the end already. But as a DM, we're gonna decide how this is going to end and what's going to happen to the party on the way south. And because they're character levels 1 to 4, I'm going to throw goblins at them. I decided that for the first few episodes of 3 Sheets 1 Shot, I wasn't going to get too complicated, so that I could kind of get into the swing of it and get some more feedback and see what happens. Okay, so we're still looking for the name of a human scientist. And I'm self-producing this stream. My producer's at work and my other producer's at school. So I'm not seeing anything on my Streamlabs chat. So if anyone's chatting, I see people are chatting, so I need to find out why this isn't working. So let me turn Streamlabs chat off and back on again and see if something happened there. It might have messed up. So 1 second. So I'm not seeing chat, and I see that there's chat on the screen. So hang on 1 second. Sorry if you heard that terrible noise. It's coming up now. It's taking its sweet time, sorry. It worked fine last time. Okay. Let me type something in chat. Hello! Okay. Well, see, it came up on the screen. Let's see if I can see what that says. Okay. Alright, so someone type something real quick in chat and see if it's coming up on my Streamlabs chat, or something's gonna have to give here. There's a lot of people in chat, in the watching, and I don't want to miss what you're having to say. I just can't read it on that tiny little screen. Maybe I can blow that one up. Something real quick. Oh, thank you, Twisted. Okay, so now I can see it. So I've missed some stuff, and I might have missed what someone suggested as a name. Gordon. I see Gordon. And part-time Swedish chef. Thank you, Dell. Thank you. Yeah, it's Anne. Everyone knows me as Anne on this stream. So I know Dell in IRL, so, but just call me. You can call me Anne. Okay, so Gordon. To Gordon, a human scientist who has requested the unusual stone for an experiment. He has offered a handsome sum for the delivery. All right. Okay, so upon their successful, we're hoping, quest to rid the Netherwork mines of the marauding rust. I capitalize creatures, D&D creatures from the from all of the books, if they're Wizards of the Coast, just so that I know it's not a homebrew. That's just something I do. If it's a homebrew creature, then I won't capitalize it. But this way I know I can look it up on D&D Beyond. Okay, of the rust monster that had plagued. Let's use the right tense. The workers and consumed their mining tools. The party is given another task by Thorgan Bjorgen. Thanks, Ryland, for that. That's going to be fun to say all night or all afternoon. The shopkeeper. Bjorgen has asked them to deliver some Netherstone samples to Stonebridge. I was trying to call it Southbridge. All right. Okay, so let's say that they accept it. hopefully they accepted. If not, I'll write another campaign. And they're heading south, so we'll say that they are on the trail. Or maybe they'll want to shop at Wee Things after their adventure to see if there's anything that they could purchase. We'll do that. Okay, that's if they stop there. And I will fill that in with the previous information, because nothing has changed in the day it took them in the mine, unless it took them days in the mine, but the inventory wouldn't have changed. So I will copy and paste from my other document and fill that part out. So let's just have them go then straight to on the trail. Uh-oh. Why is it doing that? That is so strange. My computer acts up so much. Okay, so let's have them on the trail south. All right, you know what I didn't do last week that I should have probably set up is deciding the weather and the time of year, because sometimes the DM likes to throw weather at their players. If it's rainy, or if it's cloudy or misty or foggy or dry or hot. This region in the Nhikosha Dynasty is, I would say, the same as North America. It's going to have the same temperate zones. The north is a little cooler and very cold in the winter, and the south is really hot in the summer, and it's moderate in other places throughout the year, depending on the year. So I would say that this, it depends on what time of year it is. So anyone want to throw out there a thanks Twisted for joining, I appreciate it. Anyone have a suggestion for the kind of weather they're having? And that way we can maybe influence the decisions that our party makes based on the weather. If it's they need to get snow boots or galoshes or umbrellas or a tarp. We also need to decide how they're going to transport this rock. And I would say that maybe they can hire out a horse and cart, because it will take them 3 days and they're not going to want to carry it on their backs. The stone's pretty heavy, at least the samples that this scientist has ordered. So let's see. Anyone have any suggestions for the kind of weather while I sit here and figure out why this heading is not working? Oh, it's the bane of my life. I think I have it set the wrong. Oh, it's not indented. No, that's not it either. I'll put wee things in later, because I don't know why that's doing that. Okay, so on the trail south. Oh, you know what I'll do? I will have them, a local farmer has offered the use of an old cart and I don't want to use old, of a small cart and an old nag to pull the cart for the party, as the Netherstone is quite heavy. However, he asks for a deposit. Should he ask for a deposit? This area is thriving, and they just had their local farms just had a very good season, I guess. So I'd say it's fall time-ish after the harvest, so it could be approaching colder weather. So we'll keep that in mind for our weather. Should he ask for a deposit or just take it on faith? I guess he's pretty happy that they've worked out that these are the adventurers that that solve the mystery in the bottom of the netherwork mines. And as the netherwork mines tends to be one of the largest income producing businesses in the area, so that we'll do that. We'll just say that he's offered the use as a loan. Has offered to loan the party a small cart and an old nag. We'll make it an old nag so they doesn't gallop all the way, and it can't really carry the party in the cart. They have to walk. A party probably at levels 1 to 4 can't afford each their own horse. All right, as another one is quite heavy. All right. On the trail south. The words you see on the screen, those are the styles that I use for the document. So that's what that is. This is the template I put together to make it the writing a little easier, or the formatting. Okay, so let's see. On the trail south, I think they're going to encounter some goblins. I've pulled them up on my D&D Beyond, so we're going to use that also. And let's have them march the first day, or travel. Or we'll make it the travel time from Netherwork Village to Stonebridge is approximately 3 days on foot. I would say that rainy weather could cause the trail to be, I gotta come up with a better word. And I actually do have my thesaurus pulled up this time. Let's pull my thesaurus up. What's a rough? What's a good word for a rough road? Rugged? Cause the road to be bumpy? Rain? Abrupt? No. Bad. Garbage. Let's just use rough for now. I can't think of a good word. Rainy weather could cause the trail to be rough in spots, so travel could take longer. I would say the party would ask probably Bjorgen, Rylan, thanks for the name, for rations. If not, they would probably need to secure some rations or make sure they have rations, but that's up to the party. The DM doesn't have to decide that. They could get that at We Things, the shop. They might also ask for any kind of rain gear if we decide the weather is rainy, or maybe the weather is wonderful and they encounter problems as they move south. Maybe even a cave they have to go in for shelter. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll make them go into a cave, because then we can throw other stuff at them. Goblins for sure on the trail, like in tents or something, like a camp, but something in the cave as well. So we'll have it start raining. Okay, as they head south out of Netherwork Village, the day is clear and cool. Okay. And what I think I'll do is have each day, let's have each day as its own day one, and this will be whether the DM decides they can roll a percentage to see if it's if they're going to hit anything on day one. Yeah. So let's do I put rolls in brackets. There we go. And a D20. No, I'm sorry, a percentage die. For an encounter. And we'll do it below. Okay. Actually, we'll just do, okay, that's what we'll do. And let's make the encounters, let's make two different, just to keep it simple, since we just have an hour. So we'll do 1 to 50% equals, which I know they could flip a coin, same thing. Let's have them encounter that goblin. What would you call a group of goblins? A raid? Not an army, but bandits. Camping along the road. And 51 to 100. Something a little more difficult. What do you think? Throw something out at me. Or let's look it up. Let's look on D&D Beyond for that. I have goblins pulled up here, but we could look for something a little more nefarious. Trolls are a little high, I think. I think they're challenge rating 5, so it's a little much for our... Well, if they were level 4. If we had 3 level 4s, I could probably handle it, but let's think of something a little less evil. Characters, content. Monsters. Let's go to some official monsters here and pick. We can decide that they are coastal, because we are walking along the coast on day 1. And let's keep the challenge rating. If we just throw 1 at them, maybe we'll do 3. Let's see what kind of coastal monsters we can find at challenge rating 3. Oh, just a few of them. Okay, so a manticore. Oh, it's Arctic though. Well, what is this? I've never even heard of it. It's a fiend. That looks terrifying. Okay, so that is a challenge rating of 3, which we put in. Oh, where do they live? Oh, they have a lair? Oh, it's a ship. Okay. Okay, so that's not a good idea. This is a new one. That's from Modern Canaans, I think. That's what it said. Let's go back. And let's put challenge rating 2 in there. Let's do 2 to 4. See what we can come up with. A berserker. That's a humanoid. Druid, a griffin. A marrow is going to be found in the water, though. It is coastal, but it's in the water. I don't want to pick this one because I can't say it. How would you even say that? That dinosaur. We had sea hags in a homebrew I did. That was fun. We had a group of them. Oh, these are all humanoids. Alright, let's not pick coastal. Let's pick... this is also grassland. Let's do that. Okay. I don't want to throw a dinosaur at them. Alright, what's an auroch? Let's look up an auroch. Oh, that's good. They're roaming in the grassland. And they're unaligned. So I don't know if they would actually go after a party. Might just leave them alone. Yeah, these guys are probably pretty passive against anybody. Unless our party decides to get in their face. Oh, let's see. Anyone have any suggestions? Quaddle? Celestial? No. An elephant? I don't think some of these would... Oh, maybe a giant boar would go after him. Maybe a charging giant boar. Yeah, they can be... they're relentless. They could be pretty nasty. Let's do that. Let's just throw a giant boar at him. Maybe it's hungry and it's going after the horse, the old nag who can't move very fast. Oh, that'll be good. That's evil. Let's do that. Okay, a giant boar. Let's get back to our story. A giant boar. Okay, we don't have any NPCs in this, so I'm just going to skip over that. So let's do goblin bandits first. And I'll let the DM decide how many. They have a challenge rating of, let's go back here. I think it's only half, but let me just double check. Here we go. Yeah, it's only, it's a quarter. Okay, so we can probably throw half a dozen at them. So we'll say that it is a 1d. Let's throw 1d6 plus 3 at them. So it could be 4 to 9 goblins at them. Okay, and they are along the side of the road. They're camping. So if the party is quiet, okay, is traveling stealthily. They may hear and or see the goblins, although there'd probably be a scout. I bet there's going to be a scout along the road that might be keeping an eye on the camp, because they do that. Goblin camp from the trail. If there is a scout, however, the party may be taken by surprise. Okay, so let's I don't do the fights as the writer of these one shots. I let the DM decide how the fights go, and so I'm not gonna. Sometimes in my own homebrews, I will take the information from D&D Beyond and just cut and paste that picture onto my sheet so that I know how to, instead of having to go back and forth, how to handle the fight and handle each one, depending on how many I have. But in my one shots, I'm just gonna say this is what they encounter and let the DM decide how many by the dice roll, or maybe he or she'll decide how many they want to throw at them, and how the encounter goes, whether there's a scout or anything like that. But I will put down that if they are successful, they will find a small leather pouch with, let's say, 24 silver. This is not a wealthy area. And I make that bold. Okay, so now if they're traveling stealthily, let's look back at our goblins and see what they're really high in stealth. They have a passive perception of only 9, though. They can see they have dark vision. And they're pretty clever when it comes to avoiding any kind of humans. They're pretty stealthy. So let's... Hello! Welcome to Qyjari's Curious Crafts and 3 Sheets One Shot. Who was that? It's too small on my screen. I can't see. Okay. I hope my chat is still working. Okay, so let's get back to the story. All right, the party may be taken by surprise. So let's just say there is a scout, and let's say that the passive perception to no, let's make it a perception check just all by itself. What is a board game? I don't know what you mean by that. Pika. Okay, perception to see if the we'll just make it a perception check because they are pretty stealthy. We're gonna make it a this is let me check a DC of a previous one. Okay, let's make it a DC 13 because, like I said, they're pretty stealthy. To notice or just to notice any goblin scout on the road. From the trail, I should say. And capitalized goblin. Okay, so if there's a scout... Alright, but we decided there was a scout, so let's just take that out. Because I would think that goblins would have a scout keeping out, even if they were all camping. They would do it what a typical party does and keep a lookout or keep a watch going. So let's see. Goblin scout from the trail. What time of night? Let's see. What time of day would they come across? Let's say that they would maybe travel most of the day, and then that night, that evening, is when they would come across the goblins as they were making their camp as well. Maybe in a clearing that looks handy to have to camp for the night. To notice it. And maybe they see the campfire ahead too. Okay, and the goblin would have to fail in any kind of stealth check to make a sound that would make the party notice. Otherwise, the party might be taken by surprise, I would think, to notice any goblin scout. Okay, so that's the goblet bandits camping along the road encounter. Otherwise, they come across a giant boar. Let's do that one. And because of the CR rating of the boar, let's just make it 1. Okay, so they're walking along the road, and before nightfall, maybe there's some rustling in the area, in some bushes nearby. Okay, midday, the party, they could probably passively hear that too, unless they're making a ton of noise and singing and whatever. From the tree line or bushes along the trail. It's not a very wide trail. This is like I said, Stonebridge is a secluded city, and so they would not have built any kind of major thoroughfare from anywhere into the city. Just that Stonebridge that gets to their city and supports any kind of small trade that would come in there. But otherwise, it's not very well traversed. They're a very private community, I would think. Okay. A giant boar has decided that the old nag pulling the cart would make a tasty dinner. We'll say that the giant boar is like a ravenous, like maybe it hasn't eaten or it's been foraging and it's not coming up with anything, and now it's decided that this nag looks pretty good. So the loot on a giant boar, like I said, the DM then decides how the combat would go for the giant boar. They would pull up on D&D Beyond, or they would pull up on their monster manual the stats for the giant boar and determine the fight there. it's kind of basic, so I'm not going to put any kind of special roles for that. If they want to put 2 giant boards, if the party's pretty successful and has got some levels on them, then maybe they'll want to put 2 or 3, like a herd. Herd? Is a giant boards come in herds? I don't know. Okay. I don't think there's anything valuable on a giant boar. Sometimes you can, I don't think there's anything here, but I'll look. Sometimes on, if you read D&D Beyond or in the monster manual, you can look down and see some details of the character, and there isn't any here, on the NPC or the monster, if certain parts of it are worth skinning or harvesting. Like in our previous last week's episode, we had the rust monsters that maybe their mandibles were somehow you could harvest them, or I think we had someone in the chat decide that if you dissect it and look in its belly, that it had that it didn't harm it because it was made of cloth, a bag of holding. So we let the party have a bag of holding if they decided to dissect it and get into their belly. Okay, back to our story. So the loot on this would be really nothing. I would say none, because they're not going to carry around purses and belts and gear and swords and that kind of stuff. So that's just experience. Okay, so that's day 1. Day 2, and how about we not do an encounter for that? We will just do I think I had this on heading 3. Thought I had another heading one here. I guess not. Day 2, the weather turns colder and it begins to rain. Not just rain, but storm. We want the party to have to find some shelter. The party will need to find shelter. Now, someone may have a tiny hut that they could conjure. I don't know. Well, that depends on the party. But we'll happen to have nearby maybe a cave entrance that they could find with a investigation. Searching, oops, spelled that correctly. The party may find and what I'll do is I will create the map like I have done for last week's 3 sheets 1 shot of in Incarnate, and along the trail the DM can see the trail and decide how they want to have the party what the party might be able to find, and I'll put a cave entrance on it and a rock outcropping and maybe a small creek or lake or river or something, just some different environmental terrain that the DM can decide what to do, and the party can decide too after seeing the map and what they can see around them. All right, searching. The party might find an entrance to a small cave. The cave looks abandoned. And is dry. It's not warm and dry because it's cold outside. But of course, something has to come out of the bottom of the cave. The weather turns. It doesn't like that, and it doesn't like that either. I'm a grammar person. Okay, so let's see what we can have them find in a cave. Let's check D&D Beyond again. So let's see, monsters. Let's have them find, I don't know if there's a cave. This would be mountain, maybe? No, because they're on the What lives in a cave? Is there something that has... I know there's a couple creatures that have the word cave in them, so that might help us out. A bear? Oh, a fisher. Oh, and it's a 3. And I've made those before. During a... Well, I didn't. I did it for my personal game. I took some small little plastic scorpion toys and painted them white. And those are my cave fishers. Now let's check these out. Oh, they're in the Underdark, but we'll let that go. Yeah. Oh, see, and here on here you can see that it does have some things that are worth skinning or taking away from if you dissect them or decide to do an animal handling check to get more things off of them and maybe take it to a leather worker in town and have something made from it, or a blacksmith or something. So we'll have a cave fisher. That's a challenge rating 3, so that's going to be up there, but they can handle it. If not, maybe they shouldn't have gone into the cave. All right, day 2. That evening, they encounter a cave fisher. And the cave fisher has a, let's look, stealth of 5. They have blind sight. So let's say that if there's a fire going, no, that really wouldn't help much. It is vulnerable to fire damage, so maybe if there's a fire going, that helps the party somehow. So we'll put that in there. If the party has a sizable campfire, the cave fisher may not get a surprise attack. If there is no fire, the party may be surprised. I can type really, really fast, but I'm not saying it out loud at the same time. I think at one point I could type 70 words per minute. And not when I'm talking. Can't do 2 things at once. Okay, so let's say that if there's a watch, so the DM would decide if the party has a watch, what would the perception be? Anyone? What would the perception be on a watch for noticing the cave fisher? They have a high stealth, but again, the DM can roll to see if they hide well enough. I would say that it would be a high DC to tell, because they have really good stealth and good dexterity. So let's do that. Okay, perception during the watch of anybody. We'll make it a DC 15 to notice any movement by the cave fisher. And then if anyone during their watch, whichever one the DM decides every 2 hours or every 4 hours that the party keeps a watch, which party member perceives the cave fisher, or whether it's not attacked yet, or he or she decides if it's going to be make its appearance on the first, second, or third watch. It's all up to the DM. So we'll just leave it like that. Okay, and again, the loot on a cave fisher, the party may choose to do an animal handling, or some DMs do survival, I think. Check. To skin, or there's another word and I can't think of it. To skin, or it's not dissect. Harvest, I guess. The creature for parts. And I think the cave fisher is, that was my timer, so I have to be quick now. Maybe we'll finish this next week. They're eventually going to get to Stonebridge, but I wanted this one to have multiple encounters as we go, so maybe we'll just finish this one up next week. This can't be a lot longer because I have a little one that gets off the bus soon, so I can't stay long. Okay. It has, I thought it had it's blood. That's what it is. Something about its blood. Because we had to fight these things once, and they were not fun. It has this filament, too. The adhesive filament. Yeah, so maybe they could harvest that from the cave fisher. Let's add that. Vials of blood, and again, only if the party has the vials available. That's up to the DM's discretion. Or it's filament. And again, this creature, I kind of try to go with, when I do loot, I try to do what makes sense. And this creature's not going to have a weapon or a piece of leather gear or a shield or or a healing potion on them. So that's the problem when you get to these earlier levels. You kind of have to work really hard just to get the XP to get up there to get the fat loot. Okay, so that's day 2. So maybe on day 3, these poor adventurers, they're going to work for their reward here. I don't even know what the reward is yet. Day 3, again, going with that percentage, maybe they're pretty cool the next day. Maybe nothing happens. Let's say it's still storming, but not as hard as the previous day. So the party can continue southward toward Stonebridge. And they would arrive at the end of day 3. So that's 3 full days. And of course they would have to use their rations and use all their whatever else they bring along with them. If they bought healing potions, that's up to the DM to decide. I think in our previous in We Things, which is the store, let me pull it up here. I don't think he had any healing potions. He has basic items at this store. He has things like surplus groceries that the farmers bring in, barrels of corn and grain, and he has small items like bolts of fabric, maybe. Basically anything that he'd have to order from Dyrebrook to come in to this small village that they can't make themselves. You know, they have eggs and vegetables and fruit and goat's milk, and they can make grain themselves to make flour and other food items, but they might need things like candles or parchment, uncommon spices. What else did I have here? Lanterns, things that they really can't make themselves, that they would need to go and have ordered from Dyrebrook, and it would come to this shop here. So this is the shop that I will copy and paste from this document into the new one, in case our adventurers want to get some supplies before they head south. And like I said, we will continue this next week on Wednesday for another episode of 3 Sheets 1 Shot, and see where we go from there. Thank you so much for everyone, and any input you want to provide, you can go to my Discord channel. There's a special channel there for this program. If you want to join me tomorrow at 1 o'clock, I'm switching gears, and I'll be working further on my gnome Santa. It's an ornament that I make, sort of a Christmassy show. And then, as usual, on Tuesday nights at 7, my busy night, for a couple hours, we make Dungeons and Dragons terrain, and we're currently working on Miramore, which is a cliffside halfling village. It's in its very first stages, infancy, so there's still a lot to do, but I'm looking forward to it, and I hope to see everyone next week. Thank you.